Hi guys, Jason's here, down at Bray Golf Range in Suffolk, Mizuno Pro 225. I've already done the compare of all of them and necessary which one's for you. Going to be up there, I think it is, or that way, that way, I think it is. Now the 225 is going to be possibly the most forgiving out of all three. It's going to be kind of a toss-up between this one and the 223. Cortec face, it's the reincarnation as such of the old HMB. Well, it's not old HMB, MP20 HMB. So rather than changing the HMB to something completely different, the old HMB, the MP20 HMB, was such a good design that rather than change it like they've done necessarily with the 223, they've just enhanced it. So it's still got Cortec face, and I'll stick a little picture down there of what Cortec face is, if I can, if I'm allowed to, which is effectively different shaped face, variable thickness and all that lot. But they do change when it comes to the construction composition with tech in here. I've got the gap wedge, I've got also the 9, the 7 and 5, so we'll rush through these as quickly as possible. But one thing we can say about the gap wedge, down by the golf ball, this thing looks tiny. And one thing we used to say about all the new Mizuno Pro irons, that in the higher lofted irons into the pitching wedge for the 221, but then the gap wedges for the 223 and 225, they are tiny, as in, not say ridiculously tiny, but they are very small, which aesthetically, and bear in mind these are the players' irons, blah, 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 blah. Generally speaking, players like to see a slightly smaller profiled, lofted idea. Anyway, let's go hit 3 of these. So, I mean, these are 1025E, so I don't think we're actually going to see too much difference in the world of feel. No, feels exactly the same as what you'd expect. It's a 1025E forged gap wedge, similar to the 223, and also when it comes to the 221. Grain flow forged 1025E. Now these all have still got copper. Yes, they have. Hello, plane. So you're still going to get that buttery feeling, that people keep on saying about, but bear in mind we are talking about different heads will have different feels because you've got different amounts of tech involved. But yeah, let's go give this one another bash. And I mean, I'll put the lofts down below. So the 225 are the strongest lofted of all of the range. 221, traditionally lofted blade, yes. 223 is kind of piggy in the middle of where it sits when it comes to lofts, and then the 225 owns it when it comes to the raw loft factor. Now, okay, they're not crazy lofted by no stretch of imagination. Remember, guys, these are supposed to be the Mizuno Pro irons. But they're doing exactly what a gap wedge should do. 49 degree, I think it is. It will go fractionally further, but yeah. Anyway, let's go to the Nan Iron and go see how that feels. All right, guys, now back with the 9 iron. Now, so when it comes to the difference between the 9 iron and gap, the basic only difference between these two, tech-wise, is not a lot at all, if not basically nothing. A fact that you've got the 9 iron has got obviously little bits of loft difference, 2 clubs, and the heads are very, very fractionally bigger. But when I say bigger, down by the golf ball, this thing does not look big, and this is a 9 iron. The one thing I do like about how these new Mizuno Pro irons are transitioning, if you have it what will, between long irons to effectively going into something like a T22 wedge, is that because a T22 wedge is smaller, having a big head size gap between the pitching wedge, say, and then going into a gap wedge of a T22 would look a bit weird. But as these now are getting progressively smaller, it doesn't look weird at all. But let's go give this one a hit, because this should feel very similar, if not identical, to the gap wedge. Yep, they do. Same tech, less loft, feel exactly the same. So this has got the Project X IO 5.5, what is it, 105 grams? Yep, that feels just normal. It's not until I got to the 223 video, probably coming after this one, that will probably be the order that these will go out, that I've struggled somewhat with shaft, and generally speaking, you guys know, I'm not one that normally struggles with that. Right, but yeah, this feels exactly what it should do when it comes to 1025E with a little bit of copper. Now bear in mind, guys, these have got a little back weight in them, so When you go up into the 7 irons, etc., we'll go to the next one, 7 iron. That's when the tech changes. Yes, there is going to be tungsten. Now, where you've got in this one, you've got back weights, etc. Stainless steel back weights, 431. So I can stick it on the screen there if you can, so you guys can see. But it feels not that much dissimilar, being honest, to the blade. I mean, okay, when it comes to the blade, they don't do a gap wedge on the blade, but when it comes to the 9 iron, they do in that. And apart from the looks of it, bear in mind the blade's chromy, it feels nigh on identical. Nice. I do like these, especially when it comes to right at the end of this section of the video, when it comes to the 5 iron, but we'll go into that one. So we'll go over to the 7 now, where the transition changes when it comes to the tech. 7 iron in hand now. And again, as you can see by the screen, this is where stuff changes. So we've got the Cortec face. We have now got the 28.5 grams lumped tungsten whacked in the back of that head somewhere. And we've now got forged chromoly, because where on the sides it says grain flow forged, blah, 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 1025E, it now says forged chromoly. Now, forged chromoly is in the 223s as well. It's that kind of transition to something that's going to be a little bit more raw inspired. These are slightly stronger lofted than they say the 223s and definitely the 221s. 30 degrees is 7 iron, so it's not the most strongest 7 iron by far, but it is quite strong for what is deemed as a player's side of things. But this would be like players, distance, forgiveness idea. Yeah. Now, arguably, these will possibly be the most forgiving with all that tungsten lumped in the back there. But yeah, I mean, you'll be able to see when I hit this with the old quad down on the deck. And you know what? You can definitely hear the audible difference. Yes, you can. But is it a huge transition? No, because they have, especially in the 225, they've got that 8 iron gap where you've got a little bit of tech running in here, a bit of bleeding out, and then the tech runs from the other side bleeding in there. So you will get a transition of sound and stuff like that. But going from a 9 straight to a 7, yes, there does sound something different. You can tell this is a hollow bodied iron. So it's not, some hollow body irons, when you hit them, my word, they sound like hybrids. But hopefully the camera can pick this up. It doesn't sound hybrid at all. So there's going to be things inside the head to stop it sounding that way, because again, when you talk about hollow body, you're going to run the risk of it sounding very, very tingy. But my favourite is the 5 out of all these. Why? Because it's such a forgiving golf club. Remember, I'm a blade player, so I'm used to hitting a 5 iron blade. So you do have to, with a 5 iron blade, make sure you hit the middle. Because cold winter days, such as this, if you catch one rather low in the face, it can give the old fingers a little bit of a fuzz, which I think people that have experienced that can agree, not the most pleasant thing. Because then you spend the next 3 holes trying to get feeling back. But I'm pretty certain with 28.5 grams of lovely tungsten in this thing, you can hit it quite poorly and get away with it. They do feel punchy. They really do feel quite when it comes off the face. So anyway, let's go to the 5 iron, my favourite. Back now with 225 5 iron, my favourite. And why? Because when you get into a 5 iron, and I'm a blade player, so bearing in mind 5 irons aren't that big, and if you're having an off day, yeah, when you look at this one down by the golf ball, this one now looks a little more appealing than the old blades do. The top line's a little bit thicker, the sole is definitely, yeah, a little bit thicker, but the blade lengths are, I would say they're slightly smaller than the old HMB, so all the head lengths have got slightly smaller, but it's not really noticeable too much in the 5. But after hitting this a few times, compared to my blade, it just wants to launch and it just wants to carry. Now, of course, the carry is going to be relevant to how much loft it's got, and you can see down there, I think it's 24 degrees. this isn't what you call traditionally lofted, but what it makes for in, or up for in low loft, it kind of makes up for in tech, because it's still got the core tech, still got the old tungsten in this thing, and this thing, when it goes off the face, it feels like it's like a blooming trampoline. Just gone. So these ones want a baby fade, so generally speaking, when I go up into my longer irons, I do tend to want to fade them fractionally, and so they'll have a tailing off to the right. Guys, know your misses. So I generally speaking aim for that. I mean, I'm just hitting stuff on the floor, so FSX Mobile will capture it so you can see. But it's just such a punchy hit off the face. It's so addictive. I mean, it's just lovely to hit. When you're hitting long irons, I mean, okay, some guys hit 3-iron. You get this in a 2. Yeah, you do. You get it in a 2-iron. I won't be having it in a 2-iron. I will stick with my hybrids, thank you very much. Although saying that, Mizuno are bringing out the Fly High, which is bigger heads and just, yeah, beefy. Anyway, I would definitely go to something like this. I'd probably go get the 5-iron and then tweak it. So add as much loft as I possibly could to bring it back, because these things are rocketing off the face, but they feel great. Having something in a 7-iron, an 8-iron, having like a 221 is really, really nice, that soft feeling. But when you're into a 5-iron and 4-iron, you want something like this to just feel like raw. Just the sound that comes off the face is so... Right, so let's just tell you, rather than going back, I want to go do one more. I'm having fun hitting this. I do like hitting this thing. Right, let's go hit a high draw. Generally speaking, not something that I like to do with a 5-iron, especially my 5-iron. But this, I reckon that because of the playability of this thing, I reckon you could hit a high draw with this easy, even me when it comes to long irons, because this is just addictive. What we're going to do, we're going to go into the custom fitting studio. I'm going to hit a load of shots, because obviously you guys want to know how well this works when you don't quite hit the middle, because it is that kind of iron. It's not a 221 super blade, hit me there please. It's something that people are going to potentially gravitate to if their strike's not quite there, but they want to play something like this. Well, there you go. Right, let's aim more towards you, the camera, and let's let it go. Oh yeah, hear that? It's gone. That's rocketed off the face. Wowzers. Right, I'm going to go hit this a load of times because I'm encouraged to see how far this one goes. And all the rest, obviously, yeah. And we'll do some kind of different data as well when it comes to the miss hits, because again, it's important to see how well they work off the middle. Yes, definitely with heights and all that lot, but most importantly, how forgiving these things are when you really don't quite catch them properly. So guys, now in the custom fitting studio, after hitting a load of shots, 225 time. So we've got the gap wedge, we got the 9-iron, we got the 7-iron, and we got the 5. So obviously we have 4 golf clubs to test, which is going to take forever. So I'm going to be quite concise in all the information that I give. I am going to give obviously ball data, which I always do, but I'm going to give head data as well. And there I have hit some normal shots, as I always do, but I've also hit some weird and wonderfuls, because I would like to see how these things and all golf clubs work when you don't quite hit the middle, because generally speaking, guys, we don't hit the middle all the time. Tour players generally do, but not normal people. So the information will be on there. If you need to pause it, flick over to see what the head data, ball data was, because if you know where you miss hit, you know if you're a low person on the face, if you know you're a heeler, if you know you're a tower, then you can glean information from this to see necessarily how forgiving potentially they will be for you. Anyway, so ball data first. 93.6 miles an hour, 26.5 degrees of loft, 9,664 spin, so 9.7 spin, and descending at 50.7 degrees. It's a gap wedge, it's got lots of loft, it's going to spin, it's going to come in, yeah, it's going to stop. 1.2 yards offline on average, 29 yards in the air, and 116 yards carry. Probably a couple of yards too long when it comes to what I'm normally used to, but a bit of tech in there. So let's go to the club data for it.
84.7 miles an hour, 6.7 degrees down, 1.1 from the inside, 2.3 closed, 0.4 toe up, and 5 mil toe, 7 mil low. But you can see there's a few shots there, something like what, 4 up, something like that, 12 mil toe, 9 mil low, carrying 114, so we lost 2 yards from a 12 mil toe, 9 low shot. Yeah, it gets better. There's one there, 1, 2, 3 up there, 5 mil toe, 13 low. That's low on the face. 116 yards. So some 5 mil toe, 13 low, quite low on the face. That's gone exactly the same distance. So you can see. Anyway, I'll allow you to flick across and pause it and stuff like that. If you know, I've got all the strikes on there, you can see. So considering, doing well. Anyway, let's go to the 9-iron. So ball data first on the 9-iron, 108.6, 23.9 degrees of launch, 7,414, 7.4 spin. Descending at 51.1, plenty of descent angle, 2.2 yards offline on average, 36 yards in the air, and 144. 144, that's a long 9-iron for me. Yeah, it is a long 9-iron for me. And if you look at some of the shots in there, there'll be drop-offs a little bit, there'll be miss-hits, there'll be the drop-offs, and there's some long ones as well. Anyway, let's go to the actual club head screen so you can actually look at all the strikes as well, and then you can flick back if you want to see, yeah. 88.6 miles an hour, 4.4 down, 0, 0, I'm fairly 0, 0 when it comes to irons. 0.3 toe up, they've all been tweaked for me. 6 mil toe, 6 mil low, but you can see some of the strikes there. 18 mil toe, 12 low, 4 up. 142, I've lost 2 yards from an 18 mil toe, 12 mil low strike. What? Yeah, okay. And there's some other ones on there. I won't delve, but you can have a look because the top one, near the top one, 15 toe, 1 high, 15 toe, 139. I've lost 5 yards from a 15 toe shot. Anyway, you can keep going because there's some toes and lows and heels and yeah, have fun on that one. So let's go to the 7-iron. Ball data for the 7-iron, 122.9, launch in 19 degrees, backspin of 5,100, 48.2 degrees descent angle, 2.9 degrees right, 36 yards in the air, and 178 yards carry. Healthy. Healthy. Very healthy. So if you go by the clubhead data for it, 92.1, 3.7 down, 0.7 across, 0.8 open, 0.2 toe up, 1 mil heel, 3 mil low, fairly central, but you can also see from some of the shots in there, you can flick across, and I'll probably do it on the screen, one in there, 16 mil heel, 4 mil low. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the bottom, or from the top. 174, I've lost 4 yards. 4 yards, that's it, from that strike. That's nearly a shank. Keep looking, you can have a little look, because there's some interesting ones on there for fun. So, we got the one left to do, which is the 5-iron. The 5-iron, my favourite when it comes to hitting this. The 5-iron in the 225 is just mental. It just, as soon as I hit it, I just feel so, there's something about it, I just feel so confident hitting it. I'm thinking as soon as this is going to go like a rocket. And you do get that feeling off the face. It is a distinct punch. Really good, just, but yeah, anyway. 132.4 ball speed, 15.9 degrees of launch, 4-1 spin, 45.5 degrees descent angle. So it is still reaching, on average, that 45 number that I want to see when it comes into a green. 3.5 yards off target, and if you look at all those shots, I didn't hit as many with these. I've got a good 10 or so there, but the biggest one was 12.5 yards offline at 203 yards of carry from a 5-iron. Now, I'm not the fastest swinger in the world, guys. I am not one of these brute force people that can hit a 5-iron to whatever. I am with this. It's crazy. It really, really is good. If we go by the clubhead data for it, 94.8, so nearly 95 miles an hour, 2.5 down, 1 across, 1 open, again 0.3 toe down when it comes to lie, because it's lie done for me. 0 mil toe, 4 mil low. There really isn't any miss strikes on there apart from third one down. 3 mil heel, 15 low. That's a thin. That's a thin going 199, 35 yards. It's gone to the right because of the thin, and the fact that it's 2.8 degrees open, but it's wow. I mean, when I hit that, I thought, it didn't hurt, but I did know that I hit it 15 mil low. And it's gone 199 and it hardly lost a yard in height. I cannot express just how much fun that 225 5-iron is to hit. And I'm seriously thinking about taking my blade out of my bag, my 5-iron, and getting something like this 5-iron here and bending it weak to try and dial it back a bit, because if not, there's just too much gap between the 6 and the 5, because the 5 wants to rock it. But it's the consistency of it. I mean, 204, 199, 199 with his mishits, 206, 202, 204, 203, 203, 205, 205. It's just, yeah. So, I mean, when you look at the compare screens, you can see it on there. I mean, you can see some slight differences in strike, but it's marginal. Just the grouping of them. I mean, if anything, the grouping of the 5-iron, and I know I didn't hit as many shots, so the grouping of the 5-iron is better than the 9-iron. I mean, it's smaller, the dispersion ring is smaller. But it's doing exactly what I would want it to do. If anything, these things go a bit far because the gaps are going to be slightly bigger. So someone who swings at my speed or fairly quick would potentially see some larger gaps when it comes to the gapping in between each club. So you have got options of moving the lofts around a little bit to dial them back a little bit, and also potentially give you a little bit extra height as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just, they're a good iron. I can say it is literally just a small change from the old MP20 HMB. It is a small one, but it is quite a pronounced one from my point of view. I like the old HMB. I really did enjoy it, especially in the longer irons. It was something necessarily that I could really potentially go to when it comes to changing out from blades, blending into something that's going to help a little bit in the longer irons. But I honestly feel when it comes to the whole set now, with the fact that they're making things a little bit smaller, they don't look so big, they blend so much easier now into the wedges. It really is something that you could play throughout the whole entire bag. And I possibly, well, if we went with the fact that these aren't chrome, these are kind of satin chrome. I do like chrome blades, that I'd have a set full of these things. But yeah, anyway, we'll have to do some compares at one point. If you'd like me to do compares, and just whack it in the comments below. Give comments about what you think of these ones anyway. Again, we're going to do the 223 and 221 afterwards. So anyway, down there, little like button. If you click that, that'd be brilliant. Thank you very much. Next to it, little red button. That'd be the subscribe. Go on, click that subscribe button. Thank you very much. Next to that one, little bell icon. If you click that one, that'll let you know next time I upload another video. Most probably be 223. And I hope you're well, and we'll see you again soon.